Hi everyone, my name is Alex, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my pre-HRT feelings. So, hormone replacement therapy is something that trans people can pursue to relieve dysphoria, whether it's social or body dysphoria. If you don't know what dysphoria is, check out my last video. I go a bit more in depth about my own personal dysphoria and ow, fuck. Sorry, an ant bit me. Where was I? Sorry, I see a bunny. One sec, let me turn the camera on. Let me show you the bunny. Oh my god. Oh my god. I will be starting testosterone on May 17th, which is in 1 week. Before I get into my thoughts, my feelings, I want to say that these videos, although they are shared online, they are more for me to personally record my transition process, and hopefully I can look back upon this and see how far I've come. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been going through my brain 1 week before starting testosterone. At first I was too scared to go on testosterone or to consider testosterone because I'd kind of internalized this idea that being a man is a bad thing. You know, I do so much work around things like privilege, around sexism. In some ways, I felt guilty for giving up my femaleness, I guess. And it wasn't until I realized that I can define my own masculinity did I suddenly feel comfortable going on testosterone. So cis men are people that when they were born, the doctor said, that's a boy, and they still identify as boys, right? They're not trans. There is so much diversity within cisgender men. There's no one man. That doesn't exist. Sure, society says there's one man. Society gives us a perception of the ideal masculine version, and often this is a really toxic perception. I didn't want to be the man that society was telling me I should be, or that society tells other men they should be, right? So at first it was hard for me to realize that testosterone was the right option. I've just accepted the fact that something is wrong, and I just kind of assumed that everyone felt this way, and it was just going to be like that forever. This consistent uneasiness in every second of every day, it's there. And of course, when something becomes background noise like that, you don't notice it. You know, I thought things like, if I went on a desert island, completely stranded from society, would I go on testosterone? And I was like, yes, I would. But I think that's the deciding factor. I can't be thinking about what other people think. If going on testosterone is what's going to make me happy, if going on testosterone is what's going to allow me to experience life, to experience joy, there is no reason why I shouldn't allow myself to pursue that. I don't feel like I'm gonna regret it. I mean, who knows? But honestly, I realize I can't keep fearing these hypotheticals because my life is passing by. And next thing I know, I'm gonna be 40 years old. I'm still gonna be indecisive. And I'm gonna realize how much of my life I've wasted overthinking this. I know for a fact I would regret not going on testosterone more than I would regret going on testosterone, if that makes sense. It wasn't a choice to be trans, but it is a choice to be brave and be authentic, because being trans is not easy. Being trans is really hard. There is so much shit we have to go through to just be ourselves, and that's not easy. No wonder there are people that are trans that don't transition until they're 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years old, because this is not an easy thing to decide. And of course, you know, there's still a small part of me that's a little bit scared, because it is, you know, it's a relatively big change. My entire outside existence is going to shift. How people treat me is going to shift. How people call me is going to shift. When I look at myself in the mirror, that's going to be completely different. So that change is scary, but in so many ways, there are scarier things. Living my life, growing old without going on testosterone is scarier than any of it. And that's another thing, trans people have to really analyze who they are. I had to do so much reflecting and thinking, And in that way, I'm really grateful to be trans, because I think cis people take their own identities for granted. Like, it's just handed to them on a platter. Meanwhile, trans people have to really get to know themselves. I am totally gonna celebrate my puberty. Like, I don't think cis guys celebrate their puberty as much as trans guys. I think everything needed to happen as it did for me to reach this point. I have pictures from when I was younger, which I might, show here or not. I had really long hair for the first 14 years of my life. I wore really baggy shirts. I wore ponchos. I wore all this crazy stuff to just hide myself, to make myself as small as possible. And I conformed and internalized the things that people around me said. And I just lived in this ambiguity and in this uneasiness and in this unhappiness. It wasn't until I realized my sexuality that I was like, I was attracted to girls, that something clicked. And I thought, holy crap, I am living in a shell, and this shell is not me. I've just consistently been repressing who I truly am. So I cut my hair, which was a huge milestone for me. People don't even understand, it's just hair, whatever. But man, I had repressed my identity inside this 4 feet of beautiful long hair. Symbolically cutting that off was freeing myself from these chains of social expectations from others. Since then, it's just been steps forward in now being able to identify that uneasiness and saying life is too short to continue living like this. I'm not going to be happy with just getting by. I'm not going to be happy with just coping with things that cause me so much sadness. Also, looking back on when I was younger, there are so many examples of me being trans. For example, in elementary school, I always wanted to be a guy in the play. Always. I would demand that they cast me as a dude. No matter what the play was, I wanted to be a guy in the play. I'd use it as an excuse to be myself. I also have always identified with more masculine things, which, again, is not something you need to be trans. There are people that have always identified with feminine things, but are guys, right? So, that shouldn't be a factor, but it does. For me, I always wanted to wear suits and tuxes. I never felt comfortable in dresses. During middle school, all my friends, these guys were going through puberty. They were gaining more muscle. Their voices were deepening. And I just remember seeing them and thinking, I want that. I want to go through what they're going through. But I didn't have the words to understand that, maybe you're trans. You want to be a dude? Then you're trans. Damn, did I overthink it? It's that simple since I was 10 years old. I've wanted this. Now that I'm transitioning, now that I'm gonna pass, now that my environment is gonna see me as a guy, I wish all the people that see me as a girl right now could just forget about it. Coming back to see my old teachers, coming back to see family friends, and them being like, what the fuck? And you being like, and then they're like, And in their heads, it's hard to reconstruct their image of me, and that's gonna suck so bad. If I could say something to my younger self, I would grab myself by the shoulders and say, there are no rules, fuck everyone else, do what you want. And, that's quoting a really wonderful trans YouTuber, Miles McKenna. He just uploaded a really great video documenting his transition process. It's so inspiring, and hopefully in the future, I will have reached a point where I am completely happy with my gender identity. And I'll look back on this video and see how far I've come. I wrote an email in 2015. I'm gonna get closer to the camera because there are people. To my parents saying that I wanted to go on testosterone. And I never sent it. And it took me 3 years to officially make that decision. In the same way that I'm graduating high school, in the same way that I'm kind of, moving out of my house, in the same way that life goes on and things end and things change all the time, it's time for me to move on from this chapter of my life. on the flip side of that same coin, I can be super excited for the future and celebrate the fact that changes are coming in the best way. This fly. In terms of how I'm perceived right now, my reality as a trans person in this body, I don't think I'm gonna miss anything. It's all joy and celebration for the future. This is gonna be awesome, and I'm going to celebrate every hair that grows on my chin. I'm going to celebrate every octave that my voice drops in, I guess. Don't really have anything else to say. I'm gonna leave now because there are people. But okay, bye. I'm excited for next week. It all starts.